everyone. I hope you're all doing great today. I'm really glad and excited to be here. My name is Alla Eddine. iSpring specializes in crafting corporate training. We're all about e-learning. Today we are going to discuss the latest trends in corporate training. Just to clarify upfront, we will not be delving into heavy tech topics like AI or neural networks. Instead, we will be giving practical methods that help businesses establish a great corporate training and see how these methods can help and benefit businesses. So let's get started. As you may see here in the slide, the methods that are mentioned here seem not really modern trends. They can seem not really interested. However, businesses lately have been embracing them more and more. What we're going to do is we are going to dig into the reasons why and how do businesses use these methods to establish a great corporate training. We are also going to talk about aspects like teamwork and communication and what methods do businesses use to inspire their employees to learn. So training actually is a major business function and it has been existing all the time. Training used to be held offline. The thing is that businesses used to cut budget on it. It was used to be considered as a side project, unfortunately. But now lately, businesses started to establish digitalized corporate training so that it achieves its results. You can see here in this slide, the top 5 corporate training programs are mentioned. You can see employees onboarding, knowledge check, products training, building knowledge base and consolidating expertise, and also compliance training. So there are a lot of training programs that businesses use in order to empower their employees with knowledge. And these are the top 5 corporate training programs used. As you may know, due to this economical and political landscape, changes are happening unpredictably. So businesses need to adapt to them. And that's why different training programs are being tested and classified so that we can see the most effective ones. Continuous training. All training starts from onboarding or products training. Then they develop into ecosystems. And these ecosystems are used to empower employees with consistent knowledge that they use to set themselves ahead of competitors so that the company can become the leader in its field. So continuous training helps businesses adapt to changes. As I mentioned, they can become leaders when their in-house skills and competencies reach to the top level. They can set themselves ahead of the competitors and they can become the best in its field. Also by implementing new technologies, because new technologies are popping up all the time. So when you have a good continuous training, your employees can adapt to the occurring changes and you can develop their skills in order to implement these new technologies quickly. Also, the continuous training helps to reduce employee turnover. As you know, when the turnover is short, the hiring costs get really high. But when we have a continuous training, we can keep the employees committed and loyal to the company because they feel they're having this professional growth. They're growing all the time, they're learning new methods, they're learning new technologies. So when they get the important skills, they do not leave the company. Let's say, for example, if you work in the sales department or in the IT department and you see that your colleagues are working in another company, they're always having professional growth, they're getting promotions, they're going to conferences, they're getting the training that they need in order to achieve great results, but you are sitting at your place, you're not having the training needed, so you feel like you want to leave your company. But if you have this continuous training, you feel that you're having this growth. Also, By continuous training, you achieve internal expertise and you keep internal expertise. You do not have to hire any outsource projects or any other employees to do the job for you, especially when a new technology comes up. If you have this continuous training, your employees get adapted to it really fast, and that's why you do not outsource and waste your time and the company's budgets as well. Content on the front line of online training. As you know, online courses are a solo endeavor. So when you go through any online courses, there is no mentor next to you, there is no teacher to guide you. And in this modern world, online courses can be done at home or on way to work. And there are a lot of distractions actually, like TikTok or TV. So let's suppose you're the trainer or the head of training department, and you see that your employees are distracted by many things, even their daily tasks, such as walking the dog or having something to do at home. So what the training and the trainer has to do is to create compelling training to the employees so that it's really interesting and it catches their attention, and that's when they really feel motivated and they go through these courses in order to gain and be empowered with the knowledge. The most popular content formats right now are, of course, slideshows. Then we can talk about tests and practical exercises, examinations, and of course videos. But here we can talk about short video formats, because if you give an employee a 2 hours training or lecture, sometimes he feels exhausted, especially when the topic is really narrow and it's very heavy. So it's better always to give short video format. If we talk about business created content, so let's say a company has a task to create some content and assign it to employees. There are a lot of options to do that. First is to create it in-house. The second option is to outsource it. The third option, and a lot of companies are doing that, is to buy some pre-made courses. And as you can understand, the problem with that is you buy these pre-made courses, but they're not dedicated to your specific needs, the needs of your business. And also when you outsource it, you have some external instructional designer, even if you give them the storyboard, they cannot meet, well, usually at least they cannot meet the specific needs of your company. And that's why content creation in-house is the best option for many businesses. And we are going to talk about the tools, how to do so. Many of you would say like, how am I going to create these courses if, for example, I do not have an instructional designer or a developer at my company? Well, there are many tools that allow you to create courses in-house, and you do not need a professional to do so. You need professional content, but with the help of tools, you can create these engaging interactive courses. There is a tool that is shown in this slide. It's our iSpring suite authoring tool. It helps you to create interactive courses using videos, tests, dialogue simulations, and it's also empowered with AI features, text-to-speech feature. So with the help of it, you can create engaging content in a short time, and you do not need to outsource it or you purchase pre-made courses. If we talk about microlearning, it's also a unique approach to developing skills. So usually when you want to teach employees or give them some competency, it's a long road to do that. It's like a long journey that cannot be made in one single course. And if you try to do that, you will give them a 14-hour course or something with an exam or a quiz that contains 300 questions. Of course, employees do not have time to do that, and it's really exhausting and exasperating for them if you give them such content form. That is why competencies usually are divided into skills, specific skills. So the set of these skills form the competency. And what you do next is you create micro courses, and each skill is attached to a micro course. So they can quickly pass this journey by going through these micro courses and getting one skill at a time. So you move one piece at a time. And when you have all these skills, you can finally say that, yes, I do have this competency, and yes, I am able to integrate it to work, and yes, I am ahead of my competitor, and yes, I am the leader in this field. So an example is mentioned here. Let's take a competency, which is giving feedback. This is a soft skill competency, but it's really important in many companies. So let's divide it into separate skills. We have connecting with teammates. Next is the ability to actively listen. This is also an important skill, and also understanding feedback models. So I divided the competency of giving feedback into 3 separate small skills. What I do next is I create some micro courses that contain, as I mentioned before, video content formats, quizzes, some slideshows, interactions, and then I assign these micro courses to my trainees in a specific group or department. Then when they go through it, I can feel comfortable and sure that, yes, my employees do have this competency. And yes, if I continue like that, I will also give other competencies to my employees, and I will eventually be the leader. Metrics. Now we're going to talk about metrics, and metrics are the backbone of any corporate training or any business. You have to constantly check the sales, see the fluctuations of the business, see the costs spent, and so on. There are many metrics that need to be monitored. Over 70% of companies measure training effectiveness, actually. There are a lot of ways to do that. We can mention some models like the Kirkpatrick model, for example, Kirkpatrick-Phillips model. We measure different criteria. We look, for example, at reaction. So how did employees react to the course that you assigned to them? Did they resist? Did they have some criticism to this course? Maybe they feel that it's useless, especially if we talk about some soft skills courses, like we do not need that, we're IT specialists, why do we need this course? So we need to measure this reaction so that we can work with it later on in order to fix it, in order to inform the employees that this is an important course or micro course. Next, we have to look at learning. So the other criteria is learning. So how did the trainees grasp the materials? Did they get the knowledge needed in order to implement it then at work? Then we look at behavior. So did the employees implement this to work? So how are they behaving after finishing the course? Then we look at results. So what were the results after the course? If we say you assigned a course related to coding or integrating a new framework, what were the results? If we look at sales, how did that affect the sales? Did they grow or not? So then you can have your own conclusions and then fix it with the next micro courses. Then we look at ROI, which is return on the investment. That is also an important criteria. We do have other metrics that we use, for example, Net Promoter Score. What do we look at? We look at the possibility of the trainees to recommend the assigned courses to other employees. And we check that on a scale from 1 to 10. The next metric that we look at is the completion rate. In many organizations, 70% is the least percentage, so that we can see that yes, the trainee grasped the material, and yes, he is ready to implement this skill into his work. Also, we can look at the index of satisfaction. So we can have a survey or review, which is done by different platforms, and we can ask the trainee, how did you like the course? Are you satisfied about the tests there? Are you satisfied about the video? Did you really learn something from it? So it's like a subjective reaction to the course. Which business KPIs does training most affect? So first we are going to talk about compliance with standard of behavior. Here think checklists, different scripts, and so on. Meeting KPIs, which is a very important point. So we have to check whether sales increased or, for example, costs were reduced, and many other criteria. Compliance with competency model is very important as well. In companies, we have to understand that the employees have the right requirements and they fit their position, because again, we want to be the leaders. That's why we want qualified employees, and that's why we always check the compliance with the competency models that we set in our company. Next, it's performing procedures according to guidelines and benchmarks, which is also a very important criteria in order to measure the training effectiveness. There are a lot of ways to collect data inside a company. Some companies have some internal databases, or they do it in a manual way, but the learning management systems is the best way to collect data. Here, as you can see, it's a screenshot of iSpring Learn, which is a learning management system that helps you to collect data about specific micro courses that you assign to users. So you can see the completion rate, you can see the questions that they were asked after completing the course, you can see the feedback, and then you can open the dashboard and see whether the KPIs were met or not. So it's really beneficial in terms of collecting the basic analytics and also the advanced analytics that helps you to measure the training effectiveness and set new goals in order, again, to become the leader in the field. Now we are going to talk about internal PR, which is actually a very important part in training projects. And a lot of companies do not pay attention into this point. They think that I can assign the course to my trainees, they're going to go through it, and that's it, the job is done. However, a lot of trainees show a bit of resistance to the courses that are assigned to them, especially if they are short courses and they're, let's say, daily or weekly assigned to them. They have a lot of tasks and they feel that these are some useless courses that they do not have to use. When you have internal PR, it's very important in order to reduce this resistance. So half of respondents in the research conducted at Harvard University campaigns for trainings on or advise doing so at the start. So imagine you are an employee and you learn about the benefit of the micro course that was assigned to you via your colleagues, or during the training you understand, wow, it's very beneficial. I have to go home or I have to go to the office and I have to pass and finish this course because it's very important to me. So yes, we talk about now with the trends that are occurring and happening all the time. We talk about digitalization, we talk about many trends that are occurring, new technologies popping up like AI. However, we do not have to forget about human connection, and we do not have to forget about work group. In order to get some specific knowledge, it's always good to have a mentor. So when you assign trainings to employees, okay, they're passing the courses online through an LMS or something, but there is always the need to have a mentor to them so that they can guide them. And you can do that online, it's okay, but there should be somebody who helps the trainees in case they have any questions. Also, for example, the IT departments, they have, when we talk about developers, they have this thing where they check the code of each other. And it really helps them to debug the errors that are happening with the code, and it helps them to write some nice and short code which is also functional. When we talk about soft skills department or sales department or marketing department, working in a group also is very beneficial. So even with technology, people need people to learn. Peer-to-peer learning, study and buddy, any colleague who has experience. So working in a group is also very, very, very important. Yeah, you know, when there are some big companies, working with adults is, it's not about criticizing them when they do not grasp a specific skill. It's about motivating them to learn, and that could be done differently. So you can give them, of course, material incentives and gifts. If they grasp the skills needed and they get the competency needed, also content quality and relevance. So you do not have to like nurture employees and give them all the time different courses that can be long format videos all the time, short courses. So the company or the trainee enters home after a long working day and he sees that 50 courses were assigned to him. That is exasperating. That is very hard for the trainee because he has a set of tasks that he has to do, and sometimes they're urgent. So we have to make the micro courses relevant to him and compelling as well. Next is gamification, and this is a really cool way in order to make the training process fun and engaging, giving them different badges, different nominations, and these nominations you can collect them, and by the end of the year, for example, you set a huge meeting and you can give them some credit. And also you give them opportunities for career growth. That could be different promotions, that could be taking them into different communities, different conferences in general. So if we summarize what we spoke about, now there are a lot of technologies popping up all the time. But we need to use the methods and trends that they were tested, and it's a common fact, there is no question about it, that they work. Today we talked about microlearning, today we talked about continuous learning, today we talked about metrics and measuring the training effectiveness. That can always and should be and has to be done all the time in companies if the company wants to be the leader in its field. Thank you so much.